Promil Gold 4 presents Projector.
We were presenting in an inter-school competition, but the projector stopped working. The team got so worried, but not me. I had to think fast. My solution? Our own projector. I asked my team to find a shoebox, magnifying glass, and a phone. Ta-da! It worked! We finished presenting and won! Problem solved! I'm an AlphaKid!
Powered by Promil Gold 4. Your child can be an Alpha Kid too. Visit facebook.com/Promil Gold 4.
Welcome to Raising Alpha Kids While at Home. This is a live discussion series where we will talk about tips on how moms can effectively raise alpha kids and give them the advantage even while they're at home. Hi everybody, this is brought to you by Promil Gold 4 and Rappler, and I'm Issa Litton. Now before anything else, any advice given by our guest expert should not be misconstrued as a prescription for any drugs or medication. The advice provided by the expert is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, nor for medical diagnosis or treatment. Please continue to consult your own healthcare professionals. And in compliance with the Milk Code, questions and concerns in our discussions are for children 3 years old and above only. Thank you very, very much. So again, hi everybody. I hope you're excited to join us because first things first, you're probably wondering, what are alpha kids? Who are they? They are kids who are smart, on top of their game, interested to always keep doing better. Alpha kids are definitely good at problem solving. They are fast thinkers and they are independent. Truly, later on, they have these leadership qualities that just shine through. So in this fourth and final episode of Raising Alpha Kids While at Home, we'll talk about what parents must do to keep children learning, even while at home. And our guest today is the co-founder and school director of Raya School, Teacher Ani Almario. Hey, Teacher Ani.
Hi, Isa. How are you?
How are you? I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm excited to have you for this episode because you, I believe, are officially wearing two hats. One is the parent hat, the mommy hat, and the other is the teacher hat. You like to be called Teacher Ani. How do you do that?
Yes, most people call me Teacher Ani, even those who aren't my students.
They're like,
Because
Teacher Ani.
Yes, parang teacher din nila ako. Yeah.
So, do you find that when you're at home nowadays, especially adapting to the new normal, that there's no division between mom and teacher? Are you like that to your kids?
I hope I'm not like that to my daughter, but I don't think you can really put a demarcation line when you're a teacher and you're a parent too, or that one role flows into the other and vice versa.
So how about adapting to this new normal then? Parenting our kids, and especially when it comes to their upcoming education for the incoming school year. How are you adapting to this?
It's been very challenging because as you may also feel, Isa, ikaw din mismo as a mom, you also have apprehensions about what's going to happen this school year.
Oh, yes.
But my part of my job is to mitigate the fear and the apprehensions that the parents enrolled in Raya also have, and to assure them that we have everything in control.
So how are you doing that then? Because again, it's not just how parents are evolving or our children are adapting. Education itself is adapting to this new normal. So how are you doing that in Raya School?
Well, the school had to. Well, I wrote a paper actually on that, how schools are supposed to do their decision making in the time of COVID and prepare for this very extraordinary school year. But the first thing we did was really to check on all the kids enrolled with us, to check on the community if everyone's doing okay. If there are any kids that our guidance counselors can reach out to, because it's a very stressful time. Also parents that we can comfort, and then after that, when we made sure that everyone's okay, the faculty started planning. Part of that was to map out our community in terms of our ability to do online learning, the tech, how techy our families are, how techy our faculty is. How many gadgets they have at home, how comfortable they are about online learning, because at that point we had done our research on online learning and we knew that that was the best way we could see this school year through.
Wow. So I like that again, not just with Raya School, the things that you brought up are also applicable to me. I can relate. Like by March, by end March, there are already all these surveys about do you have enough computers or gadgets? Do you have a laptop? How is your internet connection at home? So it's good that schools are reaching out to co-parents and just see first what are the capabilities of the families that are enrolled in their schools to be able to adapt to an online environment. So I like that Raya School is also aligned with that and that you're actually recommending it.
You know what else happened, Isa? Schools started to reach out to each other.
Isn't that
So
wonderful?
I know it's
Silver lining
wonderful.
here.
I know it's such a crisis-filled time, but actually, actually also feel more confident going into the school year because I've talked to a lot of other school principals and school directors, and we're trying to solve the problems together.
And exchanging best practices.
Yeah,
At the end of the
yeah.
day, yes, there will be your own unique twists, but the best practices in a general level are there. So I like, again,
Yes.
not just are you communicating with the families involved, but even schools are aligning with each other. I wonder, though, what makes Raya School's curriculum different from before ECQ and now? So has the curriculum itself changed?
You know, that's part of the process that our faculty had to go through
Mm-hmm.
to again define who we are. So we are a progressive school, Raya is a progressive school, and we value a lot of things that define us, like democracy in our classrooms, being experiential
Yeah.
when we teach. The kids learn by doing. The kids engage in a lot of inquiry projects. The kids and the teachers have a very open communication line, and we are very close to the families enrolled in our school. So we wanted to retain those. Those are the values that define Raya. And even if we migrate to an online learning environment, we want to retain those. And it's exciting actually for us. It's challenging but exciting for us to define what will democracy look like in an online learning environment. How are we still going to learn by experience? How
Yeah.
are we still going to maintain the closeness we have with our families? It's
Well,
going to be a real challenge, but I think it's doable.
yes, there are ways. I was about to say, but there will always be ways because I do like what I just heard, especially maintaining connections. And that is what we want for our Alpha Kids always, because they're always wanting to solve problems. They want to learn, right? And the best way to do it is, yes, experiential. There are different ways to actually expound on experience learning, and we're going to get to that in a quick bit. So for now, bring it back home then. The unspoken rule that unfortunate all parents, let's wake up to this one fact. The unspoken rule now is that children will be staying home for the time being, and that our children are our responsibility. They are the parents' responsibility from here on. So it's not easy, and some may say it's not sustainable because not everyone can actually do it because some may be working. How can you maximize an Alpha Kid's potential then while they are at home?
I think it's a matter of having a very good family schedule.
Okay.
And I suggest to all parents that because our children are our priority and our families, I'm sure that's the same for all families, then we should structure our family's daily schedule around the children's learning schedule so that we know that when they need our help during online and offline activities recommended by our respective schools, we're there for them. Aside from that, we should really also have a lot of resources available at
Available.
home. Yeah, so kahit online, di ba, nung nag-uusap tayo, Isa, before this, ay importante pa rin ang libro. We should always
That's
have
good
a
to hear.
library of books, not just for information, but a lot of fiction, not just non-fiction, a lot of fiction, a lot of novels, a lot
That's
of
part of discovery.
poetry. Yeah, because
That's part of the discovery of
that's
our
part
Alpha
of
Kids.
their education. Yeah, yeah.
That's good. Also, with new requirements, again, let's not think in terms of online always or gadgets, but the things that we have at home, be it books, chores, and activities that we can have them do or help out with, that's still possible to actually bring out the Alpha Kids' potential. I like
Mhm.
that you brought that up. How about promoting education itself at home? I wonder, again, thinking of balancing time of parents between work and having to kind of fill the teachers, not the teacher's place, but definitely supervising our children, especially for the younger ones, like kids 5 years old to 7 years old. They still need a lot of supervision and time. Is it integral that our parents sit down every day and even tutor their children?
Not naman tutor, but this is where it pays when you enroll in a school, because that's what we studied. That's what we studied as education majors. We know what is expected of a child at 5, at 6, at 7. We know what they'll be interested in. So
Uh-huh.
we have to part of education this coming school year is sitting down with the parents, well, virtually, sitting down and telling them what your game plan is. How do you think the parents can offer learner support? How you can give them support when they're learning at home. So
Well,
it's just a matter of reaching an agreement with your school and how you're going to develop a feedback system with them.
Well, if not only for the open communication and feedback system, for me, it's really now defining this space that we call home. And it's really like your bedroom is not a bedroom. I think it will also be nice that when you actually place them in another space to say, this is now your learning space. Even if
Right,
you have the
right.
laptop or the gadget, that by the time you get to this particular learning space, you're in school. I know
Right.
it feels weird because you're not walking out that door, you're not riding the car or the bus to school, but it's walking to that space and saying it's now time for school.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe does that help?
Yeah, that totally helps. In fact, I told the parents enrolled with us that remember this, in the same way that the teachers can set the tone of a class, you will set the tone for learning and the tone for every day for your kids. So if you set the tone by saying that we're going to follow a schedule today, and part
Yeah.
of that is we're going to stay in this designated learning space and we're going to learn, then the kids will take your cue and actually stick to it. That learning space, Isa, has to be clarified because some parents are very apprehensive about that as well. No, wala kaming extra space, but it
Okay.
can be a simple chair and a table,
And a corner. Find
a corner.
an uncluttered corner, maybe.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
what designates it is that it's organized. All the school books are there. There's a schedule tacked on the board in front
Mm.
of your child's gadget, and it's conducive to learning, meaning it's clean and it's quiet
Yeah.
and
Well
they're
ventilated.
undisturbed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well
while
and
they're
well
holding and
yeah,
well
no dog,
ventilated.
yeah,
Yeah.
no dogs, no other siblings having to go
Yes.
near,
No
right?
other siblings.
And you cannot be near the kitchen, ha? Because again, kung naririnig yung nagluluto, they'll be easily distracted. So those
Right.
things are good points you brought up. But here's again, supervising our children, partnering with school establishment and finding scheduling and finding the space for the actual education time. How do we make sure that our Alpha Kids then are keeping up with their academics? That means their maths, their sciences, their languages. Because once school is in session, I would not want to be the kind of mom to, always I know I'll be a distraction. I know I will be a distraction if I do that. If I always walk by and double check, like, peer over the laptop, what's going on here. Am I right? That would be distracting in itself. But
It
I
will
want to
be
make sure
it will be distracting, but maybe that will be how our school year will begin. We'll be
mm,
looking over a children's shoulder all the
just
time
to
because
check
it's a
first.
yeah, it's a new thing. But I think Alpha Kids will also enjoy if we train them for independence.
Oh, yeah.
So you turn on your gadget by yourself and you figure out all the apps that you're going to use for learning, and then figure out what websites you have to go to for your inquiry projects, for example, or your homework. I think they'll also like um, discovering things and discovering how things work. Alpha Kids would be fascinated by the science in cooking, for example, the science in gardening, the
Hmm.
math involved in many chores at home. But I think parents have to explicitly point that out sometimes. Na tingnan mo, you need to weigh this or to figure out proportions in order to make this dish well. I
And
think they will appreciate that.
let's not forget resource materials as well. Again, if
Mm-hmm.
not everything will come online. I understand and I agree with you that some books should still hopefully be of some use when it comes to your homes. But it's nice that when you have a partner school establishment, they have recommended YouTube materials. because it's already pre-screened, maybe
Yes,
that's part of
it's
the discovery.
curated. The resources are curated because you
Or
trust the school to do that for you.
or if you are gonna explore on your own also, with a little guidance, of course, with parents, unless you have your security measures in, it's nice to also come up with some materials that they can discover and learn from.
And I think ISA schools will be very open to parents asking them for like extra projects. Like, I'm raising an alpha kid and
Yeah.
I need more stuff, more enrichment. So I think they'll be happy to point you to projects that you can do at home.
So Raya School again, bringing it back to your school. They're known for being progressive, like you mentioned,
Mhm.
and holistic in their approach to education. You already said how you wanted to learn via experience. One of the ways they learn that is through play and discovery.
Right.
Discovery is such a huge part of your curriculum. How do you think you'll manage to do that in this online environment?
I think that discovery is possible even though they're at home because discovery at the very heart is really an innate curiosity that every child has. And we foster that curiosity when we let them ask questions about anything and we answer those questions. We patiently answer those questions or we lead them to resources that can help answer their questions. So baka makulitan ng parents ngayon dahil wala yung mga teachers all the time because the kids ask us all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of our job is to answer them because now we want to keep the curiosity and the sense of discovery alive. So I hope the parents also are more patient in answering their questions and not shut them down.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we're also tired because we're working from home and we have chores, but that's part of really, really, really igniting that sense
So
of discovery.
that's a very good reminder for us parents that I know our patience really will be tested in the months to come. But be mindful that we are really, first and foremost, we've heard it from the experts, we are the first teachers of our children, right? So
Mhm.
we may not be there again once we let them go. Now we see that they've established a routine this incoming school year. We may not look over their shoulder most of the time to check, are you really listening in class? Are you reciting, even if it's online in class? But during dinner, or if there's a break, that's when we can
Mhm.
ask, hi, how are you doing? And if they are asking, mommy, what's this? I wasn't able to ask this with teacher. Let's really try to say, let's find out together later.
Right.
If in case you don't know the answer. Because sometimes, especially now for my 10-year-old, there are some subjects that I forget na. They're probably entering algebra or something, right? And I'm like, wait, I need to remember this. I'm like, baby, can we try to figure this out together later? So those are things that, at least with patience and with a little cooperation, we'll be able to actually figure it out. And we'll still keep our alpha kids encouraged when it comes to discovery and learning, right?
Right, right. If you don't have the time to answer them now, you just say, anak later, okay? I'm
Mm.
going to carve out a special time for you to ask me questions.
I
Yeah,
love it
it's so
during
funny,
dinner.
Isa.
I like
When
talking during dinner.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Ako I wanted to share with you na my 10-year-old parang we didn't say naman what fields we were interested in or what our particular expertise was. Pero ginugroup na niya parang pag math questions kay daddy. Pag
And then
language questions kay nanay.
mom.
Okay, parang na niya na parang kasi mas mabilis yung answer pag dito or parang alam ko na ito yung interest nila. So that because kids are that way.
Yes. And
Oo.
not
You
again,
should never underestimate them.
your children. That's so true. That's so true, Teacher Annie. Because for me, again, it's so humbling, and I find that my kids get encouraged when I'm actually honest with, I don't
I
know.
don't know.
They're even more encouraged. I want to find out before mommy does. Because some parents might feel the pressure that I should know everything. No, it encourages our kids that even parents are learning also, right? So I think that it never ends. This feeling of learning always, or the feeling of discovery. That's always a great thing to establish in our very own households. Here's another thing. How, besides instilling in our children a sense of discovery, how about social interaction? That's a different matter. Social
Nako.
interaction.
And that's what you go to school for, really.
Yes.
To interact with your peers, to know how to interact with your peers. And I think, Isa, it's still possible in this new normal. Kids can socialize with more on a deeper level with the members of their family. Kasi dati hindi naman kayo ganito kadalas magkasama. can socialize with other people through online platforms. You can communicate with your lolo, your lola, and set up play dates that are virtual. That's possible. You can socialize with your neighbor.
Social distancing nga lang. Kamusta po kayo dyan?
Oo, kailangan lang naka-mask at hindi mo na pwedeng mag-hug a friend.
Yeah.
But you can communicate with people in your neighborhood. And I think we should encourage that. Kasi now is the time that ironically we're all separated and we all have to isolate ourselves to some extent, but this is the time when we have to band together because we're trying to win a war.
Yes. And again, I really don't want to give up on connection even if you are not physically capable. I think these times that's really we're proving. The whole humankind race is proving even if we cannot physically be next to each other, our connections are stronger than ever. So within our homes to outside our homes, like with the school communities, even your other family members who are not living with you, those ties can come in, and that in itself is social interaction. Never underestimate what we can do for each other when it comes to that. Teacher Ani, here's another sense that I want to bring up because again, it's all about in the confines of your home. I already mentioned putting a space that is conducive to learning, while you mentioned scheduling time, family time, and education time. Here's the view, though, of a home. Admit it, home is where we relax. It is our comfort zone. It is the place where we retire. But now it's not. So how do we, again, that mindset that the home right now, and also respect parents' space. Because it will also not just be an educational space, it is now also a workspace. Home is all this new package nowadays. How do you think?
So again, nako, nasa parents talaga yan. Ang daming ang daming gagawin ng parents ngayon. But I know you're a parent. You decided to raise a human being, so I know everybody's up for the challenge of this new normal. Again, a family meeting. Talk to the whole family and say na this is our home. It used to be just a place where we can relax, but now there will be spaces for learning. Now there will be spaces for work. Now there will be a schedule we have to follow para harmonious ang relationship natin at harmonious ang everyday natin.
Even when there's no more space, I know.
Yeah, pero I think Isa ngayon din parang
or namin is our sala. Let's find ways, parents. I know
ways, and also have chunks of time or even days that are sacred. So yung weekends, real weekend dapat wag mag-work sa weekend kasi isipin natin yung mga anak natin. We have to spend that time with them na hindi naman laging nag-work at laging nag-aaral.
Thank you for that reminder because I am personally guilty of that. Work sometimes for me is on a Saturday. And sometimes on a Sunday. Back then, weddings were during Sundays and I had to host weddings. But now, sometimes Sundays, may mga couch type discussions ba. So again, thank you for that reminder that sometimes I really should respect the weekend. I also need an off time, and that off time is just bonding with my kids. It's just really being with a family. So again, going back to school then, having a good school partner. That's really one of the things we should all look forward to, something we should work on as parents. Because again, we can't do this on our own. We do have work also, and I'm sure we all have a full plate. So how can parents in schools help each other then during these tough times?
We can help each other by really establishing open communication lines. That's really it. You tell the teacher na ito yung challenge ko sa schedule ko because I'm working from home. So can we work around that? Or what things do I have to learn just to make learning our house more conducive to learning during this extraordinary school year. So it's really communicating, and I think now
expectations maybe.
Yes.
Just already say you need this in place. Like again, your laptop, we will be communicating via this platform. Like ano ba ngayon? Google Hangouts ba? Something classrooms ba? Diba? There are all these avenues that they'll probably go to. So establish those and try to learn it before it actually starts, maybe. I'm sure there'll be some sort of dry run period for all, and I hope you can ask for that. I think that would be a good way to placate the parents' anxiety.
Yes, in our school, we're going to have a month-long training period. That's for the faculty to get really good at all the online learning platforms
Mhm.
and changing our strategies for learning or adapting to online learning. And then there's also a week for parents and there's a week for kids. And I assure you that what's really important during this time is to be patient with each other, for parents to be patient with schools, and for
Mhm.
schools to be patient with parents. Because we have to realize that everyone's stressed
Learning.
out,
Yeah, we're
everyone's
all
learning.
learning as we
So
go
that
along.
that first class, baka may mag-power outage or may poor internet connection. That
Better to
happens, di
expect
ba?
it. Yeah, better to
Yes.
expect it. It will not be perfect. Please, let's
Yes.
really manage our expectations right now. And again, we discussed earlier academics like the math, science, and languages. Even more, don't forget our kids have practical subjects,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like what if it's sewing? What if it's cooking? Diba, there's
Cooking.
even carpentry.
Woodwork.
Yeah, woodwork, diba?
Yeah.
So those are all part. And I'm sure we're all going to try to figure out, how do you submit your work? Is it just a matter of showing a video or seeing that the child is really doing their activity? We're
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure these things out.
Yes. So we have
Okay.
to be patient with each other. And parents and teachers both have to be creative.
And yes, when it comes to alpha moms and dads, think of it as load sharing, right, Teacher Annie? This is the importance of having a good school administration. Besides just communication lines, talk to your school admin, and it's not really on the teachers. It's how it's run. I
Mm-hmm.
think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Parang nagbubuhat ako ng bangko ko, no? But really, school leadership is very important because you can feel it as a parent if your school has a plan for
Mm-mm.
this whole school year at kung may direction yung plano na yun and if they know what they're saying.
And
So
it can be
that's
an
very important.
opportunity. Yeah, and it can be an opportunity. Don't make it as a sort. I know it's easy to always fall into it as some sort of frustration that, oh my gosh, no concrete something. Let's not err on the side of complaining or again just adding to a negative atmosphere, but really maybe suggestions, or even again even between schools they're already sharing best practices. So there's actually opportunity in getting to know your school systems, getting to know your school teachers, and getting to know your child's learning abilities in this
Mm-hmm.
time. Just as long as at the bottom of it all, we are all here for the sake of our alpha kids, for our children. We want what's best for them to keep them ahead.
It helps if your school is really promoting a positive outlook, a positive mindset when it comes to this whole situation. That they see this not as a stumbling block in education, but really an opportunity to learn online learning, to see the possibilities that online learning can give us that weren't previously available to us when we were doing physical face-to-face classes, and to really rally the school community together
Mhm.
that we can solve this problem together and we can get through this together.
And schools will definitely have clear lines of communication with parents. I'm speaking as a parent. That is my first way of really saying, please, I know you're my co-parent. Teachers are also
Yes.
the second parent. I really do respect that and I believe in that. So clear lines of communication between me and the educational establishment of my child are very, very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
like that it should be offered, that be it via a phone call or an email, or even, yes, meetings can now be held online. I hope those avenues can come and be welcome for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So far, what teacher and Annie and I have been talking about is definitely from the outlook of parents. What to expect for parents to set up? How do we set up their schedule, their learning space? How our home is a learning environment of its own. But let's not forget, what do you think the new school year, Teacher Annie, will look like for our children? The point of view of our children is very different from our point of view. So, how do you think they're looking at this situation?
The new school year will be, well, different will be an understatement for the coming school year, but it's also going to be exciting and stimulating, especially for our young students. We've been holding online summer classes at Raya, and I've seen the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds and the 5-year-olds, and they're liking the online experience, and they've been quickly adapting to it. Like the way that they bring things to school for show and tell. Ginagawa na rin nila ngayon online. We don't have
Show and
to
tell.
prompt them because they're like, look at this. And sometimes it's like, this is the cup I use here at home for drinking, and it's the mundane things that they want to share. And one thing that we didn't expect, it was so cute. They started showing their room, and this is this is where my dad stays when he reads a book. Oversharing, TMI. But we love it because it's a look into the child's life that that weren't allowed to have before.
I
Kasi nga
like that also. It's like you're
oversharing, but
welcoming
it's
them.
yes,
You're
yes.
welcoming them
It's
into
like
my home.
they're welcoming us to their home, and we're also welcoming them to
Our
our
home.
home. So it's a real personal approach to learning.
And I like that you brought this up because, again, with some parents, they're probably thinking, my kids are always asking, when will they see their friends again? When are they going to go to school again? But really, kids are so naturally adaptive, especially when they're young. You mentioned ages between 3 to 5 years old. They're always curious and open. They don't have set boundaries. For them, it's just exploring. What else can we do?
So
Right?
the first time, Isa, they were like, so we can't be with our friends like
Yeah.
physically. And then on the second and third day, their moms would send us Viber messages saying, my kid wants to Zoom. Can we Zoom tomorrow? So alam na nila, they're the ones who've quickly adjusted. They know that it's a way to see their friends.
And I like that we can actually follow the lead of our children. Again, let's not underestimate that they actually are very resilient
They
online. They're
are.
built that way.
Yeah.
Children are always so open versus us adults who probably have some routines already. We've already set our own ways. So again, let's follow the lead when it comes to our children because they are, especially alpha kids, are social, they're curious, and they have leadership
I'm
potential.
sure, saka kung yung anak mo ay alpha kid, you think you'll be teaching them how to do online learning, they'll be the ones to teach you.
Teaching you.
Yeah, to
Very good
use all
point.
the apps and go to these websites and get whatever they need, get whatever
Very, very good
information they
insight.
need. Yeah. Sila na
Very.
yun.
So again, Teacher Annie, before I let you go, final tips again on for our parents who are watching that this new school year and when it comes to our education, when it comes to our children, that they never do stop learning. Learning within our own homes is already such a good environment as long as we model by example or we actually let our children take the lead. So final tips from our guest expert, who is Teacher Annie.
Well, my first tip is really to do wellness checks on our kids to check on how they're feeling, how they're doing socio-emotionally. A lot of literature right now says that our kids are especially emotionally vulnerable during this time. And sometimes baka hindi natin napapansin or we think they're okay. So it will greatly help just to ask them, hey, how are you okay? Or how was your day? And Isa, if they need space, parang they want to stay holed up in their rooms for a day, let them. Diba? So
Because we see each
check.
other 24/7 already.
Right.
So
Right.
they deserve their own time. And parents, that's also good for you. You have your
Mhm.
alone time too. And I like how you reminded us again. Sometimes it's in the questioning. How were you should go first. Then, did you finish your homework? Did you submit your quiz? Right? How did you do in your quiz? Did you pass? I mean, right? It's the questioning. How are you over the academics first? Good first step.
Mhm. And that's really more important than any academic task. The second thing I would advise parents to do is really, as I mentioned, sit down, figure out a schedule. Our kids are central in our lives, so they should also be central in that daily family schedule. But also, we won't be able to care for them effectively if we also don't care for ourselves. So in
Good
that
point.
daily schedule, carve out time as well for self-care for parents.
Thank you for that. And last, do you have one last?
The last would be really to establish open communication lines with our school, it would be great to always touch base with our co-parents, dahil co-parents nyo naman ng mga teacher tulad ko, and to check on how our kids are doing, what other things we can do with our kids to enrich their learning, how we can help them with areas that they have to improve on, and how to help them be healthier and happier.
Wonderful. And that is, again, a great reminder for parents to not have to overburden yourself. When it comes to having a partner school establishment, you are sharing the load. So let's make it a great communication and partnership, because we only want one thing. That is the best for our children. Thank you very, very much, Teacher Ani Almario of Raya School. That was really a great discussion with you. Thank you for all of your tips, helpful tips and insights that I hope all of our parents watching will be able to apply at home. Again, any advice given by our guest expert should not be misconstrued as a prescription, also not intended as a substitute for professional and medical advice, nor for medical diagnosis or treatment. Please do continue to consult your own healthcare professionals. And in compliance with the Milk Code, questions and concerns in our discussion are for children 3 years old and above. This has been Raising Alpha Kids While at Home, Episode 4, Continuing Education While at Home, brought to you by ProMil Gold 4 and Rappler. I'm Issa Litton, everybody. Thank you again for joining us. And if you'd like to see the previous episodes, they are available on the Facebook pages of Rappler and ProMil Gold 4. Take care and stay safe, everybody. Thank you, ProMil Gold 4, for helping keep Alpha Kids think fast and stay ahead in this fast-changing world.
Promil Gold 4 presents Projector.
We were presenting in an inter-school competition, but the projector stopped working. The team got so worried, but not me. I had to think fast. My solution? Our own projector. I asked my team to find a shoebox, magnifying glass, and a phone. Ta-da! It worked! We finished presenting and won! Problem solved! I'm an Alpha Kid!
Powered by Promil Gold 4. Your child can be an Alpha Kid too. Visit facebook.com/PromilGold4.